Often when we talk about how higher education contributes to development, we talk about how higher education contributes to the social and the economic development of low-income countries. But when we look at the world today, we find it is less easy to believe in the global, powerful, rich North and the poor, powerless global South. What we find is that the richest countries in the world have growing pockets of poverty, while some of the poorest countries have islands of prosperity. So rather than talking about how higher education can contribute to low-income countries, we should be talking about how higher education can contribute to global well-being, how higher education contributes not just to the eradication of inequality between countries, but also how higher education can contribute to the eradication of inequality within countries. And if we think about higher education and development in this way, it's also important to understand that the global template of what a good university is that we obtain from the most highly research-intensive elite universities in America and Europe is not the model for universities everywhere. We need to create greater space both within the countries of the North and the countries of the South for a greater diversity of higher education institutions that contribute in very different ways to global equity and to global well-being. At the same time, we need to shine the spotlight on alternative higher education systems, higher education that contributes both to global equity but also that maintains quality. And one of the most interesting examples is the Cuban Medical School. The Cuban Medical School attracts students from all over the world, from the most disadvantaged communities. They obtain one of the best medical school educations in the world, and they go back to their countries and put their training into practice. And I think these sorts of examples, which are often not very visible when we talk about the global university, global ranking and world leaders, needs to be much more visible so that we can learn from these inspirational examples. And finally, I would like to say that higher education is simply too important to be left in the hands of politicians or the market or big global corporations. Those of us who teach and work and manage and lead in higher education, including the students in higher education, must have our voices heard. We need to take a stand, and we need to contribute towards designing the future of higher education and how it can contribute to global well-being.